Hi everyone, I'm Jacqueline Alvarado, speech language pathologist, and I'm on a mission to create online resources for people with aphasia and their loved ones. Thanks for joining me today. Hi everyone, welcome to our first Aphasia Book Club video. We're going to be reviewing the book Healing and Happiness After Stroke by Carrie Dahlgreen. I actually just finished going through the book with my aphasia nonprofit, and we met virtually over the summer to read each chapter of the book, talk about the points in the book, and complete some of the activities and exercises that are suggested. And our members really had a great experience, and I really found a lot of valuable information that as a speech therapist, I would really love to share with you all through these videos. If you do not have the book, Healing and Happiness After Stroke, I totally recommend that you pick a copy up for yourself or download the audio version of the book. So we're going to be reading the first part of the book entitled A Mini Love Story, Chapter 1, Leaning into Love, and Chapter 2, Healing the Brain. The book starts off by saying, to make a successful recovery after stroke, you have to fall in love with the process. I know that reading this first sentence may be difficult to understand or difficult to agree with. How am I supposed to fall in love with the process of recovering from a stroke or a brain injury when this stroke or brain injury has totally turned my life upside down? Maybe it's ruined my life. Maybe it has, stopped me from working. How am I supposed to fall in love with this process? But the author stresses that this is actually an important component to your stroke recovery, is finding peace, happiness, and even joy in going through the process of recovery. If you love your recovery will love you back. But you can only get there by loving yourself first. And so with my experience as being a speech therapist and working in different settings, hospital settings, inpatient rehabs, outpatient and home health, I can see that one of the missing elements to recovery is talking about mental health and how it impacts our progress in speech, physical, and occupational therapy. And so I really appreciate the book and talking with how important it is to love ourselves first before we can go out and tackle the journey of recovery. So chapter 1 is entitled Leaning into Love, and it states, to recover from stroke, you need to heal both the head and the heart. And I can't stress that enough. I've seen so many individuals who have had either a stroke or a brain injury and have the potential to recover, but their mindset and their heart might be holding them back from achieving that recovery. So stroke recovery needs to focus on having a positive mindset, understanding what your beliefs and values are and how they influence and how they drive us to do certain things and ultimately do the things that we need to do to progress on this recovery, this journey of recovery. The author talks about how important addressing the emotions that come with having a stroke or brain injury, the importance of practicing self-love and even forgiveness, and more importantly, one of my biggest challenges is having patience. The second chapter is entitled Healing the Brain, and this is actually one of my favorite chapters. This is one of my favorite things to share with my clients, is how our brain has the potential to do so much and to heal and to create new connections. And so I'm going to talk about that and show you some pictures to hopefully help you all understand the process of neuroplasticity. The author talks about how your brain is a chameleon to your focus, molding and shaping itself to whatever skills you repeatedly practice. She explains if you want to learn a new language and you focus on learning a new skill of a new language or a new project or even recovery from a stroke or brain injury, if you focus on this, on developing a new skill and you practice it repeatedly, that your brain is going to make the changes that it needs to create that new skill and to learn that new behavior. The author talks about how the brain, if you can imagine the brain as a busy city with lots of highways and people that walk up and down the streets and the highways transporting messages. The people are the messages. They're the ones that are holding the message from the brain to your body. And the highways are the neurons. The neurons are special cells in our brains that transmit nerve impulses and that ultimately go from our brain to parts of our body. Neurons are super important in being able to do things such as moving your arm, talking, walking, just any body function that you can imagine needs to be transmitted through the neurons or through the highways. So what happens when we have a stroke? When somebody has a stroke or a brain injury, there may be a lack of oxygen to that portion of the brain that may cause injury to the roads and the highways. And remember, the roads and the highways are the neurons that take the messages from the brain to the body. So when a stroke happens, it essentially closes that road. That in turn may cause a disability. For example, many people may have had left or right-sided weakness. Maybe your arm or your leg has had difficulty moving, or maybe you have aphasia following the stroke or brain injury. It happens because the neurons that transmit the messages that either help us talk, walk, move, have been closed or impacted. So what's so remarkable is that your brain wants to heal. So here comes neuroplasticity to save the day. And that just means that now the people that were carrying the messages need to create a new pathway. They can no longer go through road because of the damage, and now they need to learn a new skill to create a new pathway. That needs to happen with repetition of the new skills over and over and over again, which is why you all might see in your recovery that your physical occupational speech therapist might have you do the same activity over and over and over. And that's because your brain needs repetition to be able to build that new pathway for recovery. Neuroplasticity and repetitive practice are how your brain heals during stroke recovery. So the author gives the example that if you want to regain your hand function, you have to start first by focusing and bringing your attention to your affected hand, not forgetting where your hand is when you're sitting in your wheelchair on the sofa, making sure that you bring attention to either your hand or that has the weakness. So she talks about then practicing the hand exercises over and over, day in and day out, with a positive mindset, but also with the hope that neuroplasticity and that repetitive practice is going to help you regain that function in your hand. There's a lot of factors that go into recovery: your health, your medical stability, your mindset, but just know that our brain is a remarkable organ and that the brain operates on the principles of neuroplasticity and creating new pathways. Your brain wants to heal and your brain wants to recover. So you can be stronger after stroke, and there can be a beautiful and wonderful life with aphasia. Thank you, and I hope you all enjoyed this video. Subscribe to the newsletter through the link below for aphasia-friendly resources to your inbox.